Asia's consumers are diverging as Japan's weak consumer sentiment contrasts with India and Southeast Asia's digital expansion. Here to expound on this are Ramnivas Mundada from Global Data and Hamano Hidekazu from Cadence International. Welcome, Ramnivas and Hamano. Let's begin with where this is coming from. What's driving the gap in consumer behavior between Japan and India or Southeast Asia?
Asia is diverging into two distinct consumer patterns. Japan is primarily oriented towards stability and value retention over time. In contrast, India and Southeast Asia are oriented toward upward mobility, with spending directed toward income growth, lifestyle advancement, and experiences. This contrast is driven by demographic, economic context, and risk posture. In terms of a demographic, Japan median age is around 49 in a wealth maintenance stage. With fewer remaining working years, financial setbacks carry higher perceived costs, reinforcing conservative spending. And whereas India and Southeast Asia median ages are in the late 20s, aligning with the peak workforce entry and earnings growth. This supports higher willingness to invest in long-term outcomes such as education, skills, and major life upgrades. In economic context, low growth expectations versus growth-led confidence, consumer behavior, Japan prolonged periods of low growth and deflation have shaped expectation of stable declining prices, reducing urgency to purchase and strengthening saving behavior. So, whereas in India and Southeast Asia, sustained around 5 to 7% of GDP growth has produced a visible income progression across peer groups, supporting aspirational consumption and higher propensity to spend on products and brands associated with advancement. So, on the risk posture, security-led choices, Japan, the legacy of stable employment norms continues to influence decision making. For instance, only 45% of actively pursue career growth, whereas in India and Southeast Asia, more limited social safety nets combined with high labor market competition increases the intensity of career progression. Investment in future capability.
In India and Southeast Asian countries, over 90% of people want to advance their careers, and they are confident that their lives will be better in 10 years. This overwhelming optimism, the belief that tomorrow will be better, transforms investment and consumption into proactive stance. In contrast, only about 13% of Japanese consumers believe their lives will improve in 10 years. And career-focused individuals are limited to 45%. The sign of stagnation acts as a brake on consumption. The psychological gap is directly reflected in how tightly they hold their wallet strings.
But what's happening? Why are Japanese consumers prioritizing savings and essentials right now?
Actually, Japanese consumers have essentially become masters of defense. Only 11% feel that current economy is good, and nearly half are focused on increasing their savings for their future. The reality is that many feel even maintaining their current lifestyle is a challenge. Additionally, the maturity of consumption is a major factor. Over 66% of people choose products based on personal values rather than brands. They strictly ask whether the product is truly necessary for me rather than seeking approval from others. The combination of future anxiety and smart choosing has established steady lifestyle centered on securing their daily foundation.
Japan focused spending is primarily driven by the consumer mindset centered on financial resilience, protecting living standards, and managing uncertainty and avoiding waste, reinforced by low growth environment and aging related concerns around healthcare and retirement adequacy. Despite recent wage increases in some sectors, real income has not consistently kept pace with inflation over an extended period, sustaining cautious spending behavior for Japan. And second important factor is weak yen and higher costs. So a weak yen has reduced local purchasing power, increasing the effective cost of imported goods and contributing to consumers being priced out of discretionary categories, thereby reinforcing essential only purchasing for Japan. And similarly, on households prioritize savings to buffer against potential shocks, including health events, natural disasters, and unexpected expenses, particularly in the context of aging and retirement security considerations. And purchase criteria, approximately 70% of online shoppers prioritize affordability while maintaining quality, indicating a strong preference for a value-oriented purchasing and clear cost-benefit justifications. And structural and cultural preferences for Japan is households have historically maintained elevated savings rates, holding over 53% of asset in bank deposits rather than higher risk investment products.
So, with this higher future investment and travel spend in India and Southeast Asia, what explains this?
In India and Southeast Asia, elevated spending on future oriented investments, specifically on skills, education, financial products, and travel reflects a clear upward mobility mindset. Consumers view these categories as enablers of long term progress, professionally, financially, and socially. As income rise, spend is shifting towards a leisure and experiential travel in India. Many consumers allocate meaningful discretionary income to the experiences. On demographic and urbanization is another driver enabled rapidly urbanizing population increases demand for both financial advancement and lifestyle upgrades. Strong economic growth and reform movement, particularly in India, supports higher consumer confidence and willingness to spend. So other than that, improving access and ease of purchase like competitive regional travel cost in Southeast Asia and AI-enabled digital booking platforms reduce friction and expand adoption. So career intensity is another driver. High focus on career progression drivers, investment in education, technology, and personal ground.
Actually, for them, investment and travel are not just luxury items. They are essential subjects for self-expansion. In India, people allocate 16% of their income to investments. And across these Asian nations, over 90% are consciously engaging in self-improvement for the future. They are convinced that increasing their skills and assets is the fastest route to a wealthier future. The high travel spending is also driven by a strong desire to live life freely because it only happens once, combined with culture that values social status, their ambition to build wealth through investment and enhance quality of life through travel powerfully drive their consumption.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your insights, Ramnivas and Hamano.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Once again, those were Ramnivas Mundada, Director of the Macroeconomic and Companies Research at Global Data, and Hamano Hidekazu, Global Account Director of Cadence International. For more news, visit retailasia.com.